Hello, everyone. Want to go over some key components of utilizing MyMathLab and MyStatLab for your respective either MA2000 or MA3000 course that you are currently enrolled in. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. Just a recap, MA2000 quantitative reasoning class, you utilize a product called MyMathLab. And a lot of times inside the scope of the course, I will abbreviate or use the acronym of MML. That is the abbreviation for MyMathLab. For MA3000, the business stats course, you utilize a product called MyStatLab. That acronym or abbreviation is MSL. So you'll see that if you're enrolled in the MA2000 or eventually have to take the MA3000 business stats course, that this interface for MyMathLab or MyStatLab is almost identical to each other. It's published by a publisher called Pearson, and you'll see that the interface is very similar. So if you're currently enrolled in MA2000 and eventually you take the MA3000 course, you're going to see that the interface is very similar between those two classes. But regardless of the one that you're enrolled in, this is where you will be completing all of your homework and quizzes that are assigned in your respective course. So just to let you know, it is a required component of your respective class to utilize either MyMathLab for MA2000 or MyStatLab for the MA3000 course. So if you are wanting a hard copy of the textbook, that's entirely optional. It's not included in any of your respective tuition, but if you purchase a hard copy of the textbook and really want that as a tangible item, you're welcome to do that, but that would be at an additional expense. The nice thing about MyMathLab or MyStatLab is that you get a full ebook of that particular textbook inside of either MyMathLab or MyStatLab for your respective course. So if you like a hard copy of the book, feel free to do so, but it is not a required component. The enrollment and to have access into either MyMathLab or MyStatLab is the required component of the respective course. So the purchase is required, but it is included as part of your tuition at NAU. So there is a built-in fee when you pay your tuition for either MA2000 or MA3000 that is included as part of the tuition. So it's not an additional expense that you have to incur. So previous to the class started, typically about a week beforehand, you should receive an email from the NAU bookstore that has an access code. And I'll show you later inside this presentation what that looks like. But typically it's going to be an email that you're going to receive that has that respective access code. Now, if you are retaking the course, either MA2000 or MA3000, you have to obtain an access code for each attempt of the class that you do. So say you drop the first time that you take quantitative reasoning and you're taking it a second time, you will need a new access code each time that you take the course, because the course code or that access code only works for 12 weeks. So typically speaking, our classes at NAU are 11 weeks in length. You have to obtain a new one each time. But if you're retaking the class, there should be one that's generated, and typically that is about a week before enrollment, typically earlier. But if for some reason you have not gotten that email or it's lost out in cyberspace, your point of contact is your advisor. Unfortunately, the instructor does not have access to the generation of that access code. So your first point of contact would be your advisor. Talk to him or her and ask them, hey, I haven't received my access code. They will do the respective follow-up and make sure that you obtain one for utilization inside of the class. So the thing is, you don't ask the instructor for the access code. And typically, students will have already utilized the D2L platform, and I'll show you how to get into either MyMathLab or MyStatLab inside the course. However, some students maybe in a previous university or maybe a previous class may have utilized MyMathLab or MyStatLab.com and to go directly to that site? The answer to that is it does not work for a respective class. So you cannot get a class code from your instructor. Sending your instructor, him or her, an email saying, hey, what's the course code to get in? The answer to that is no. You must access MyMathLab or MyStatLab directly from the D2L class portal that you're enrolled in. And again, I'll show that as I progress along inside of this presentation. So you have to use D2L. And again, as I made mention, there will be a demonstration on that here shortly. Okay, now as far as, hey, I completed homework 1 assignment, I'm going to submit to the instructor a screenshot saying, hey, you know, I just got 40 out of 40 or 35 out of 35 on my homework assignment. The answer to that question is you don't have to do that. This is an additional step that is not required. There is an automatic synchronization process that whenever you complete a homework assignment and or a quiz assignment inside the class, that score is going to automatically transfer from MyMathLab or MyStatLab into your gradebook inside of D2L. So there isn't anything on your end as a student or adult learner that you have to go in and submit anything to the instructor. It will automatically sync. Now, keep in mind, if you only do part of a homework assignment or you're part of a, do a quiz attempt, it may only be a partial score that you've completed, and we'll get into more detail of that as we progress along. However, you don't have to send screenshots to your instructor. Everything will sync from MyMathLab or MyStatLab into the class portal gradebook as you're completing any homework or quiz. Okay, some things to keep in mind in terms of homeworks. Homework assignments are what I refer to as practice until mastery. In other words, throughout the 11 weeks of the course, you can complete any homework assignment from day 1 of the course until 11:59 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, or if it's Mountain Standard Time, of Sunday of week 11. So during the full 11 weeks of the course, you can go in and out of the homework assignment as many times as you want. The key is you earn the point when it has a check mark or that green check mark inside of MyMathLab or MyStatLab. And I'll demonstrate that later on in the presentation of what homework looks like as well as a quiz assignment. So again, you can go in and out of a homework assignment as many times as you want. You want to do 2 problems one day and then 5 the next, as long as by the end of week 11, at the end of the course, you have all of the homework problems completed. You would end up with full credit on the respective homework assignments. So again, you can go in and out as many times as you want without penalty throughout the 11 weeks of the course. Now, quizzes are a little bit different. Quizzes are a snapshot. So in other words, if there's 15 questions on a quiz, once you start a quiz, you must complete that respective quiz in one sitting. Quizzes, just like homework, will open the very first day of class at 12 a.m. Mountain Standard Time or Mountain Daylight Time, and will close at week 11. However, once you start a quiz, you must complete the quiz during the duration that is allotted for that quiz. Depending on, and you can look inside of your MyMathLab or MyStatLab, quizzes are either set up for a 2-hour duration or a 3-hour duration. So if you start a quiz at 9 p.m. on a Sunday, and it's 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, you have until, say that quiz has a duration of 2 hours, you only have until 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time to complete that respective quiz. So once it's open, you got to finish it. Now, the nice thing about this is you get 3 attempts on a quiz. So in other words, you have the first attempt, it's got 15 questions on it. You finish all 15, you see your score. If you're happy with your score, boom, you're done. If you want to take it a second time, you have to do all 15 questions again. So it's not a matter of, okay, I got 3 out of the 15 wrong, I redo the 3. Quizzes are different. If you want to take a second or a third attempt, you have to do all of the respective problems again. So again, it can be taken up to 3 times, and the best score out of the 3 attempts is what is recorded into the grade book. All right. So now I'm going to go in and demonstrate a few things here. Where to enroll and access MyMathLab or MyStatLab in your course. We will open up a homework assignment, open up a quiz assignment, and how do you see the feedback once you've completed either a homework or a quiz? I'll demonstrate that as I progress along here. So first thing I want to do, I'm going to come out of my PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to come into a sample quantitative reasoning course. Now, for quantitative reasoning, you're going to have a module here in the left frame that is called MyMathLab. I'm going to click on that. And from a MyMathLab perspective, these are the links to get into homework or your respective quizzes that are there, quizzes and tests. This is where, from a quantitative reasoning perspective, you get into the homework or the quizzes and tests. For business stats, it's slightly different. Instead of MyMathLab, it's called MyStatsLab. This module on the left frame, same song, different version. Major difference between the two. You go in and you'll have a link here eventually for homework and quizzes and tests. That is what you will click to get into the homework or quizzes and tests. Now, let's talk enrollment. Now, I've got some screenshots. I'm going to go through step by step what needs to occur as part of the enrollment. And I need to go back to my PowerPoint presentation here. Give me just a second. And here we go. Okay, so in one of those 2 places, either if you're in quantitative reasoning, you're inside of the MyMathLab module, or for MyStatLab, you're inside of the MyStatsLab module. Click on any one of these links. It doesn't matter. This is your step 0. You're wanting to enroll into MyMathLab or MyStatLab. And again, you'll notice you're doing this inside the class portal. You don't go to mymathlab.com or mystatlab.com. This has to be done inside of the class portal for this process to work correctly. So you're going to click on any one of the links as part of the enrollment here. You can click on gradebook, you can click on announcement, doesn't matter any of those, but click on one of those. You can click on homework, you can click on quizzes and tests, but that's going to be your first step. You'll click one of those links. The very first time you're going to get an end user license agreement, or what's often abbreviated as a EULA. You're going to go through, you're going to scroll through all of those, and you're going to come down to the bottom right-hand corner. You're going to click this I accept button. That's going to accept the thing. Feel free to read over this. It's just the end user license agreement that typically you see when enrolling onto a website or enrolling a program on your PC or smart device. So after you click I accept, the next thing that's going to happen is one of 2 things. If you have utilized either MyMathLab or MyStatLab previously, you may not see this step. Now, if you see this screen, one of 2 things will need to occur. Either if you've utilized MyMathLab or MyStatLab or any Pearson product, maybe you've taken an accounting course and it's not being registered by D2L, you're going to use your existing username and password. If this is the first time you've used MyMathLab or MyStatLab, you're going to click this create button over here to the right. Now, if you don't remember it, it's not the end of the world, because as you go through this create process, if there was one already created off of your email address, it's going to give you a heads up and tell you, hey, you already got one. You can go ahead and reset your password, etc. And it can be done here, forgot your username or password. So if you think you have one, you can go through this process of forgot your username or password, and you can obtain it that way as well. But you may not get this. Like I said, if you utilize MyMathLab inside of D2L in another NAU course, you may not see this step. It may actually go to the next slide. So depending on your status, if this is the first time you've used MyMathLab or MyStatLab, you may see this screen. So either first time user, you're going to create over here on the left, if you already have a username and password, you're going to type that in. If not, you're going to click your create button. Now, if you end up clicking the create button, you're going to see this next screen here. There we go. This is information that's typically done when you enroll onto a website. So it's going to ask for your email address, username and password, retype it in. Odds are if you type in that email address or a username and you've already got one, it's going to give you a warning message here that says, hey, you've already got one created. Go through, reset your password if you don't remember it, and everything should be perfectly fine on that. So again, you're going to do your respective enrollment if this is the first time you've utilized the Pearson product. And then goes through, I need to go to the next slide here. There we go. Once you've done that and you click the OK button, here is the next thing that it's going to prompt you for. This is, remember I said earlier, you should have obtained an access code inside of an email. If you've got that, you can proceed on to this next step where you click the access code button. So this access code button is the next thing that you're going to click. Once you do that, you're going to see a screen that looks something very similar to this. So inside of the emails obtained from the NAU bookstore or from your advisor, you're going to have a series of characters that are going to be grouped in either a group of 5 or a group of 6 characters. Whatever is it, that access code that you got inside of that email is what you're going to type into those boxes. So for the first group of 6, abacus, the next would be canal, pride, stony, mold, and lucky. Once those are typed in, this finish button should become activated. Click that, you will get another screen that will say that you've successfully enrolled into either My Math Lab or My Stat Lab, depending on the course that you're enrolled in. So those are the underlying steps. If you are in need of any assistance, I will include at the end the corresponding phone number that you can contact. I'm actually going to type that in here right now. I'm going to insert a text box, put this in. The phone number for NAU's technical support is listed here, right here, 1-800-548-0602. That would be your contact point if you are having issues enrolling into My Math Lab or My Stat Lab. You should be able to get to this point, but if not, contact NAU technical support. They will be able to assist you getting through that respective process. But the key is, before you start any of the enrollment, you do need that email that was sent by the NAU bookstore. If you don't have it, contact your advisor, and he or she will be able to assist you in terms of getting this code, because you can't proceed any further until you get that corresponding access code that's listed there. So let's go ahead and continue on. Now that we are enrolled inside of a respective class, you've done all the enrollment, the next time that you get into either My Math Lab or My Stat Lab, you're going to be prompted inside of your week 1 module, hey, it's time to do homework 1. So you'll notice here, there's a link that says My Math Lab homework. If you click that, it takes a second or two here to load, and you will notice all of the respective assignments are listed here. It will tell you the last day that you can submit it. For this particular example, this class started back in September of 2022. The ending date of this particular class is November the 21st of 2022. So you'll notice, as I made mention, all of the homework assignments are listed here and can be completed throughout the duration of the 11 weeks of the class. So let's say you're ready to go dive into the first homework assignment. You're going to click on homework 1. And you'll notice here, there are a total of 20 questions that are listed here for this first homework assignment. Now, the nice thing, just as a sidebar here, if there's 20 questions on the homework, there are 20 questions on the corresponding quiz. They won't be the same numbers, but they are going to be the exact same objectives that if you do it in a homework, you're going to see those exact same questions again on your corresponding quiz. So let's dive into the first question. I can do question 1 here, and I click on it. All right. So now I prompted with this particular question, and I go through here and I read through this. And let's say, for example, I click the word deductive. Okay. So for this particular one, there is a corresponding drop down. I select the answer. Now I want to check to see if it's correct. The way that that is done, you'll notice in the lower right-hand corner, there is a button there that says final check. One of two things are going to occur at this point. Either you're going to see a green check mark that tells you it's correct, or a red X that tells you that it is not correct. Let's click the final check mark here, and you'll notice that that it's not correct. It will give you a blurb here to explain, hey, you answered deductive, the correct answer is inductive, and explain some rationale that's out there. So on this particular one, remember I said earlier that homework assignments can be done an unlimited amount of times. So for this particular one, I can either close out of this or click to try again. For this emphasis here, I'm going to click the X button because you'll notice this now shows as a red X. We want this guy to show as a green check mark when all said and done. So how do I do that problem again? I click try again. So we notice again, I want to select inductive on this one, click the final check. Notice it'll give you a nice thing that says nice work, good job, awesome, gnarly. No, it won't say gnarly. It's just, again, it'll give you some confirmation that you've got it correct. Notice if I close that out, right now it's showing as a green X. You want that, or it will update it automatically to a green check mark. Now, here's the thing. When all said and done, you want all 20 of these questions to have a green check mark all the way down. So question 1, all the way through question 20. So again, you can try it again if you want to. For this one, it doesn't make too much sense to redo it again, but I can go over to now question 2, and these toggle bars back and forth allows you to toggle between the two. Notice I do that, click deductive, and now I'm going to go to the next question. Notice once I click next question, notice the green check mark. So it's updating as you go along. There is a save button that's up here. However, as you progress to the next question, it's going to automatically update the progress that's there. Now, let's say, for example, on this one, you're kind of a little bit confused. You don't know how to solve this particular problem. There's a couple things I want to make mention. Inside of your class portal, I'm going to come back into MA 2000, which is the quantitative reasoning course. The business stat course is going to have something very similar, but I want to show you, if I go back to the home page of the quantitative reasoning, and I come down to week 1, inside of week 1, you will notice that there is an MA 2000 homework 1 video. If you open that guy up, you're going to notice here that, and if I hit play, I don't want to replay that again, but this video here is going to demonstrate all 20 of the problems that are on that homework assignment. So I encourage you to watch this because I go through the step-by-step process of how to complete that homework assignment. And as I made mention, the 20 questions that are on the homework is going to be the same 20 questions that you're going to see on the respective quiz. So again, you can use this as a reference. That's option 1. Option 2, if you're inside here and you want to see how Pearson solves that, if I go underneath settings, oh, I don't think this one has it. I'll scroll to another one because Pearson actually has some additional things that are there. You also have your textbook link that's here as well. I made mention earlier that you have access to the ebook. This takes a second or two here to load. And you'll notice that if I click on that textbook link, it's going to open where that problem resides inside of your ebook. So you can scroll through and take a look at where that is actually done inside of the textbook. So again, the hard copy of the textbook, feel free to have, but you have full access to the ebook when you're working through the respective homework assignments. Now, again, I'm going to select the answer here, and I want to show something here because I'm seeing if we've got you've got a video link where you can go and take a look at how Pearson's did that particular one. You may also, and I'm trying to find because they've got. Let's see if there's any. No, video textbook. Let me see. No, the hamburger will explain all those 20 questions. If there's additional resources here at the bottom, as far as like ask the instructor, etc., you can go in and do that. There's also some help center about, etc., that you can go into as well. I'm trying to see. There's one thing that I wanted to. Oh, here we go. This has got one. Okay. On certain problems, like for example, the question 6, they will walk you through, because the video does this that I showed earlier, but also some of the problems have these options here at the bottom. The first one that helped me solve this, what this is going to do, it's going to take the problem you've got on the screen. It's going to walk you through step by step on how to get to the answer. But once you get done, your numbers are going to change here. So help me solve this. I'm going to walk through here, click continue, and then it's going to walk through and it says, is there a number that gives you 32? Yes, check it. And then what is that number between 10 and 21? It's going to be the value of 11. Check it. Okay. And then can you? Yes. Okay. And then 54 plus 11. If I scroll down, that's going to be 65. Check it. And notice, okay, so the answer is 65. Notice 10, 21, 32, 43, 54. Correct answer is 65. Watch what happens after I click OK here. And I close it. Notice the numbers changed. So in other words, you don't stay with the same set of numbers. Same objective, but it's going to change the numbers. So you have to go through and work the 7, 13, 19, 25, 31. And then for this one, since it increases by 6 each time, you would have keyed in your answer as 37. Now, there's option 2 on this. You can go in and view an example. What this is going to do, it's going to use a different set of numbers, but it's going to show how to get to the answer. And then you can work the problem that's listed there. So really, I call this Coke versus Pepsi, because really, do you want to see the problem work that's on the screen and try a different one? Or do you want to see a different problem and then work the one that you got on the screen? So really, it serves the same purpose. It's just a different permutation or order in which the way that you go in and see it. So for view an example, this is going to give you a different set of numbers. It's going to walk you through, similar to the other one. And it's going to show you that the final answer is 76 on this example. But you'll notice once I close this, you still got the same problem that you're working with. So 31, it would be 37. Check the answer, and then you're good to go. So as I made mention, I've done questions 1, 2, 3, 4. I have not done 4 or 5 because notice it's not there. If you click the hamburger or the 3 horizontal lines there, you can also see the same thing. So right now, I've completed 4 of the 20 questions. You would still need to do the other ones that do not have a green check mark on it. So I'm not going to work all 20 of the problems here inside of this presentation. That you can go in to your homework 1 video that's out there. And again, for my stat lab, it's the same interface, just different concepts that you're working with. So I'm going to close this out here, and I'm going to click save just for emphasis. Don't have to, as I made mention before. You can go in and it will save as you progress along, but I just click the save because this now gets me back to that. So I'm going to close this out, and now I'm going to show an example of a quiz. I clicked quizzes and tests, and then for this one here, I want to do MA 2000. I want to show that here. Sorry. Come back into MA 2000. Come back into my math lab. And then I'm going to click on quizzes and tests. Okay, so you have all your respective quizzes, as I alluded to before, 3 attempts. This student, or I haven't taken any attempts on the first quiz. This is how you determine whether you have 2 hours or 3 hours on that respective quiz. 120 minutes would be 2 hours. If this says 180 minutes, it's 3 hours. So whatever's listed after you click quizzes and tests, this will tell you the duration. So you'll notice it's 10:30 in the morning. At the time of the recording of this video, if I start this quiz, I would have until 12:35 p.m. to take and complete this quiz. Once you open it, and for some reason, say your internet connection goes down, you can get back into it, but the clock is still running as you progress along. So let's go ahead and take this first quiz. I'll click quiz 1. You'll notice here, it'll tell you, okay, you have 120 minutes to complete it. Click the start test. It will open up and we can progress along. So for example, on this one, it looks like it's increasing by 3. And you'll notice your clock is running. Notice I said the 2 hours before. You'll see that in the lower right-hand corner. So you'll click next. And then thousandths, 1.6. Let's see here. I'm going to make this wrong. 6.4. Just for kicks. And then I'm going to 3, 12, 6, maybe next. And then maybe 9 ways. And then, okay, 1/35th on this one. How do you key in a fraction? Down here at the bottom, notice the fraction template, 1 for the top, 35 on the bottom. So you utilize the template to generate that fraction. Or you can hit your division symbol. Watch this. If you key in the 1 and you hit the slash that's in your lower right-hand corner, the key that's got your slash, and if you do the shift, which is your question mark, that will also invoke that. So I click next. Now, I'm not going to go through all the rest of the questions. I just want to show you that a quiz, notice you don't have all your help items down here at the bottom as well. So you don't have, view an example. You don't have help me solve this, all of those guys there. But you would complete all 20 of the questions. But for the sake of this demonstration, I'm not going to go through all 20 of the questions here. So I'm going to click submit quiz, and you'll notice I didn't answer 5 of the questions. I still want to submit the quiz. And then when all's said and done, this will give you the feedback. Obviously, I didn't do too well on this because I only completed 4 of the questions. This would count as one of your 3 attempts on the respective quiz. Now, if you want to do this again, you got to go and open this up, open up a new attempt. It will prompt you again, but you have to do all 20 of the questions that are out there. Now, at the time that you go in and you complete this, you can click the review test button. So you can go to review test. This will open up, and there's a couple things I want to point out here. For this question, you notice that you got it correct. It's got a green check mark. The answer is correct there. I click on next. Now, I want to bring this to your attention here in terms of how you review the corresponding feedback. For this question, I intentionally got it wrong because I want to show you what is going on relative to the problem. What it is showing you right now is the correct answer. If I click on that button, you'll notice I keyed in, and you can look back at earlier in the video, I keyed in 1.64 is the answer. The correct answer is what is showing up here as the 1.63. If I click on that, showing this again, if I click on that box, it will show you how you answer. So this has to match that. Your answer has to match exactly what my math lab is showing here. Now, a lot of times students get confused on that because they'll go in and say, well, I keyed in 1.63. The answer to that is no. If you look here and you click on that box, it will show you how you answered versus the correct answer on that problem. Now, at the time you take the quiz, that would be great, but maybe later on, you want to go and review that corresponding quiz. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to close out of this, and I'm going to come back in to the class portal. So I'm going to go back into the My Math Lab module, and I'm going to come down here to Gradebook. Click on the Gradebook link, and you will notice here, I did some homework, and notice that 5 out of 35, that 5 score is what's going to get updated to the D2L or your class portal gradebook. The 8 is going to be updated as well as your first attempt on that quiz. But maybe, let's say it's a Wednesday and you want to go and review the results of that quiz. By clicking on the gradebook link, you're going to notice that there is this button here that says review. If you click on the review, this is going to get you back to what we were just showing earlier on these guys. And let me make this a little bit bigger here. So notice on question 2, you can do the exact same thing. Compare what the correct answer is to how you answered on that particular question. So that feedback is available throughout the entire 11 weeks of the class. You just have to go in a different way inside of clicking that gradebook link and going in and seeing those correct results. So hopefully this was helpful. This will get you started into My Math Lab, how to see feedback inside of the course, how to get enrolled, etc. If you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your instructor. If you need the corresponding access code that we talked about, that is a contact that you, the student, would need to do with your corresponding advisor. Thanks.